She had no idea I was watching. I'm intensely obsessed with a girl I'm supposed to own. They are not even allowed to look at us without a cause. Welcome to Xenocosmos Beyond. I was sitting at my office desk, staring across at hers. She was working tense as usual. Then she stood up from her chair, and my eyes grew more eager to follow her every move. She stepped away from her desk, and I knew it. I was becoming more and more obsessed with her, day by day. The thing was, I'm not even of her species. I'm Tenarco. My kind colonized her as humans. Now we live under a system where the law openly favors us. We can do anything, and they are forced to endure it. Every company is owned by us. They are always the employees. They are not even allowed to defend themselves. Killing one of us is forbidden, no matter the reason. But wait, we can force them to work, to obey. Still, even knowing that, I can't bring myself to act like the others. That's why it would be so strange, so unthinkable for me to approach Tanya. And yet, I'm already longing to see her again. I step out of my office, but just as I open the glass door, someone bumps into me. I growl in disgust, then I notice it's her. My heart races. I've never seen her from this close before. Her head had bumped into my chest. It was the first time we ever touched. I feel deeply astonished. Why was she heading into my office today? She never does that. We're not even in the same department. The only reason her desk is near mine is because I pulled a few strings to make it happen. Just as I'm trying to process all of this, she pulls herself back, lowers her gaze, and bows her head slightly, apologizing for bumping into me. I had never felt so conflicted, as so unwilling to let go of a moment. I'm actually glad she bumped into me. My heart is overjoyed. She lifts her head, as though she senses my intense gaze on her. I feel a flutter in my chest. It's the first time she's ever looked at me. But she quickly bows her head again. I can come later, Sir Varaxo, if you're furious with me, she says softly. I'm deeply sorry again for bumping into you. In a sudden rush, I gently grasp her wrist, surprised by my own boldness. No, I was just startled, I say, my voice laced with longing, though I think it came out rougher than I intended. You can tell me whatever you came here to tell me. She lifts her head again, surprise clearly visible on her face. Her voice is hesitant as she speaks, still not meeting my eyes. I was ordered by my chief to inform you, sir, that your team may not be able to deliver the prototype model today. There was a neural server malfunction. Your team's systems engineer was unavailable, so they told me to report directly to you, she says. Now I see why she was so tense about news, especially for a high-priority Tier-1 project. They couldn't risk transmitting it over the intercom grid. It had to be in person. But they were too afraid to face me themselves, so they sent her. She bows her head slowly, signaling her exit. I reluctantly let go of her wrist, and she departs swiftly. Oddly, I feel thankful for that neural fault. It gave me the chance not only to see her up close, but to finally exchange words with her. A minor glitch in the core net, and yet it made my entire cycle. Then I headed in the direction she'd gone. It was late, well past the standard shift hours. Before going home, she'd taken on the difficult task of reporting that system failure to me. That thought stuck with me. I got into my advanced hovercraft, a Class V atmospheric flyer, and rose silently into the sky. She, as always, took public transit, the standard Lev tram. She lives near my estate. I arranged for her apartment to be placed there, used my influence and some quiet access codes. Of course, she doesn't know. She wouldn't even be aware of my existence if it weren't for today. From the sky, I watched her enter her building Unit 34 of the Southridge Habitat Complex. Then I flew home to my mansion. Inside, I went straight to that room, the one where I keep the holoframe with the only high-resolution image I have of her. Until today, it was the only way I could see her up close. I walked to my balcony. Her window is visible from there. She's just different. She doesn't have friends. She works flawlessly. She stays quiet. I've never seen her go anywhere outside of work. She lives like a closed circuit, contained, controlled. And maybe that's what draws me. The first time I saw her was at the Orbital Market District. She was carrying several heavy utility bags alone, clearly exhausted. I stepped in and helped her carry some. I don't think she even remembers that. It was a year ago. Since that day, my heart, my mind, everything has become bound to her. I've been trying to get closer ever since. But nothing I did ever brought me as close as today. Suddenly, something catches my eye, a faint green light flickering from her window. It's been happening every night for at least a week now. I've noticed the pattern. She locks her room down completely. No ventilation hatches open. No digital windows activated. Total isolation. Then, that strange green light starts to glow from within. I don't know what it is. It's not like she ever gets visitors. Not even droids. After some time, I return to the balcony. That's when I see it, an advanced transport craft parked right outside her complex. My pulse surges. Who is that? Then I see her. She steps out of the building, dressed up elegant in a way I've never seen before. She looks breathtaking. My Tenarco heart nearly seizes. Then, a man exits the vehicle and opens the passenger door for her. Jealousy rips through me like fire. I've never felt this before. She's never gone out with anyone. She's a lodo-focused, tireless worker. This wasn't like her. Not her. I leap into my own flyer and take off just as she enters his. My vision blurs with rage and disbelief. The very night we finally spoke, how could this be happening? I fly too fast, irrationally. A patrol drone flashes its lights and pulls me aside for exceeding the aero traffic limit. Of course, the moment I show my Tenarco clearance card, I'm released, but I've already lost 15 minutes. Where could he have taken her? Then it hits me, there's a high-end aero lounge just a few blocks away. The kind that would match the level of that flashy vehicle he was driving. Of course, he's trying to impress her. I bank my flyer hard and head straight there, jealousy flaring like a solar burst. But when I arrive, I see her outside the restaurant walking away. That same man is following her, shouting, "You're just not good enough. I can't get close to you at all," he yells. That's when I notice he's human, one of her own. After that outburst, he stops following her and drives away in frustration. She continues walking alone at night. My chest tightens with pain, echoing his cruel words. How could he speak to her like that? If I just had one chance, just one, I'd show her that even a Tenarco can be decent. Not like him. Never like that. As she walks, I spot a few many humans moving behind her at a distance. Too close. My heart lurches. I can't just sit and watch. I open the hatch of my vehicle and step out, planting myself in their path. I meet their eyes with a cold, unwavering stare. That was enough. The mark on my forehead glinted under the hover lights, and they immediately understood who I was. Tenarco. Trouble. They backed away without a word. Then I turned, but she had already walked far ahead. She moved so fast. I got back into my flyer and followed her from above until she reached her complex and disappeared safely inside. I wanted more than anything to offer her a ride, to say something. But how could I? She'd know. She'd see who I am. So I stayed outside for a while, watching the quiet building. Then I returned to my mansion. I could barely sleep. The thought consumed me. If she's trying to date, that means she'll try again. And next time, it might not be someone she walks away from. The next morning, I arrived at my office earlier than usual, waiting for her, desperately. But she didn't come. I waited an hour. Still no sign of her. Finally, I left my office and went to her desk. Her manager was standing nearby, so I asked, "Where is she?" He shook his head. "I don't know. She didn't notify anyone." My pulse spiked. Something wasn't right. I rushed out of the company building and jumped into my flyer, heading straight to her residence. When I arrived, everything looked sealed. No signs of activity. The apartment was locked up tight. Still, I dared to knock. This was serious. Maybe she was upset after last night, maybe hiding. But no response. I knocked again, harder. Still nothing. Then I spotted a window glass, partially covered by blackout drapes. Nothing visible inside. I clenched my fist and shattered it. The impact barely stung. I climbed through into her apartment. No one was there. Then I turned to look toward that room, the one I could always see from my balcony. And I gasped. Inside was a strange machine, humming softly with pulsing green light. It looked like nothing I'd ever seen, its surface inscribed with unknown patterns, its frame half merged into the floor. It was a unique technology, not Tanarco, not human, something else entirely. I circled the machine cautiously, studying its structure. It was emitting low-frequency radiation, something exotic, untraceable by standard Tanarco sensors. The readings were unstable. I picked up a pen lying nearby and slowly extended it toward the green light at the machine's core. Half of it vanished. Fleely. My heart skipped. It wasn't just light, it was a rift. A portal. I hesitated, then reached out with one finger, pushing it through the shimmering field. It disappeared, then reappeared the moment I pulled it back. No pain. No damage. What if she went through it? She hadn't left the apartment, not through the door. I'd seen no signs of movement outside all morning. When I'd left for the office, the building was still quiet. She had to be here. Unless she wasn't anymore. There was only one possibility. Gathering every bit of courage I had, I stepped through. What greeted me was a desolate, dust-coated laboratory, cold, silent, and clearly abandoned for years. Panels flickered dimly. Broken tools and outdated biotech modules were scattered across the metallic floor. Everything was layered in time. I gasped. This wasn't just another room. It was another world. She had been working on this, not for a week, but much, much longer. The green light I'd seen glowing from her room, that was testing, calibration. The portal had already been active for days, maybe longer, and tonight she'd used it. A sudden ache bloomed in my chest. She could be anywhere in this world. How would I ever find her? I stepped out of the abandoned lab, the air colder here, thinner. The skyline was unfamiliar, sleek in some places, decayed in others. I started walking, unsure where I was going. Soon, I came across a market square. But it was strange. There weren't many droids, and the ones I saw were primitive, rusted, basic AI units, long outdated by Tanarco standards. No advanced surveillance, no hover traffic. Everything felt oddly retrofitted, like stepping backward in time. I moved through the crowd, watching, observing, when suddenly I saw her. Or at least, I thought it was her. That hair, that walk, it had to be her. My pulse spiked. I quickened my pace. But she moved fast, always just ahead, slipping through people like vapor. Then I saw it. She was trying to enter a massive political complex, an old-style government building reinforced with metal pylons and security turrets. 2 droid sentries stood at the entrance, blocking her path. As I approached, I heard her voice. "Let me in. It's very important." The droids remained motionless. Access denied. Everyone claims that. Jack is not seeing anyone. Jack. My mind reeled. Who was Jack? Why had she come here? She tried to slip past them in a sudden burst, but one of the droids shoved her back with a cold, metallic arm. She stumbled, and just before she could fall, I lunged forward and caught her. She groans softly as I steady her. I feel her back press against my chest. My Tanarco heart flutters with a force I can barely contain. She quickly gets to her feet, and I help her the rest of the way. Then she turns around. My heart races. She's going to recognize me. Our eyes meet. "Ah, sorry for that, mister," she starts, unsure. And in that instant, I realize she doesn't recognize me. I offer a gentle smile. "No worries, it's my pleasure." I feel the fringe of my hair hanging across my forehead. Of course my mark is hidden. She can't tell what I am. Then, suddenly, I realize this is my chance. I speak quickly, trying to sound casual. "Why do you want to meet someone so badly, anyway?" She lowers her gaze. "Oh, you heard." "I just have something very important to tell him," she says, her voice quiet. "Something that could change everything." My eyes widen. "To change everything?" I ask, more sharply than I meant to. She hesitates. Her posture stiffens. "You won't believe me," she mutters, starting to turn away. Before she can go, I reach out instinctively and gently grasp her wrist again. I'm surprised by my own boldness. "Tell me," I say softly. "I'll believe you." She leans in, close, so close I think she's going to whisper something in my ear. My heart drops, waiting. But instead, she says quietly, "I can't tell anyone except Jack. It's too important. It could risk lives." A flicker of jealousy hits me. Why Jack? Why not me? What could she possibly share with him that she wouldn't trust me with? Then she tilts her head and studies my face. "You look vaguely familiar," she says. I freeze. Is she starting to recognize me? After all, she saw me just yesterday. Did she really not look at me that closely? "You look like one of my bosses," she adds, narrowing her eyes slightly. I let out a small, nervous chuckle. "I hope not someone you dislike." She's silent for a moment. Time seems to stretch thin between us. Her gaze lingers on me, and I can't help but look at her. I've always longed to be by her side, even if from a distance. "If only they were likable," she says at last, her voice soft and bitter. The words hit me like a blade to the chest. So I was right. How could she ever feel anything good for someone like me? Before I can respond, she glances past me. I follow her gaze and see a pair of droids moving to their recharge station's changing shift. A window of opportunity. She moves swiftly, slipping past the entry gate into the complex. I follow without hesitation, staying close behind. Inside, we press ourselves to the wall, just out of sight. "What are you doing?" I whisper urgently. She turns to me and presses her palm gently against my mouth, shushing me. Before I could kiss her hand, she abruptly pulled it away. A nearby droid pivoted toward us, its optical sensor flashing red. It began broadcasting a security alert and rolled forward, calling for backup. Without hesitation, she pulled something from her pocket, a sleek, palm-sized override spike. She lunged at the droid. It grabbed her arms, but she twisted skillfully and jammed the device into a service port beneath its neck casing. Sparks flew. The droid seized up, stuttered a final warning phrase, and powered down. I stood there, stunned. This wasn't the Tanya I thought I knew. The quiet, docile worker I had watched from afar, this version was fierce, precise, trained. She didn't hesitate. She was already moving deeper inside the compound. I followed. We moved quickly, silently, dodging sensors and low-tier guards until she reached a reinforced door labeled Political Core, authorized entry only. A biometric scanner blinked for input. She growled in frustration. "It needs a passcode." I stepped forward. "Let me." Hacking it was effortless. I'd specialized in narco-cybernetics and interface systems during my service cycles. Within seconds, the door slid open with a low hiss of pressurized air. Inside, a man sat at a sleek, curved desk surrounded by aging holoscreens. He looked up sharply and pressed a concealed panic switch beneath his console. Tanya didn't wait. She lunged toward him, her voice trembling with urgency. "Please, you have to listen to me. We will be colonized by the Tenarco." My heart stopped. The pieces fell into place all at once. We were just in another place, we were in another time. That portal, it wasn't a dimensional gate. It was temporal. She had traveled to the past. And now I knew why she had come here, to stop the future I belonged to. She pointed at the man. "You must destroy their base. Navtech-class orbital launchers, they are not peaceful. They'll swallow us whole. Our economy, our sovereignty, it'll all be theirs." The guards burst in, storming the room with shock batons and optic drones. They grabbed us both and began dragging us out into the corridor. I didn't resist. I couldn't. I was frozen in place, the weight of what she said still crashing through my mind. My body felt numb, like gravity had doubled around me. Tanya thrashed in their grip, shouting in frustration. "I got here earlier than I was supposed to." Guards released us outside. If I had arrived just a few hours later, I could have done it myself. She sounded broken, desperate. "This is awful, so awful," she cried. "These people, they won't listen. No one ever listens." As they pulled us further away from the office, I turned to her, my voice shaking. "Wait. How long can we stay here?" But the truth slipped from my mouth before I could catch it. "How long can you stay here?" She stared at me wide-eyed. You believe me." Then she looked around and lowered her voice urgently. "You have to tell them the truth. I'm not from this time. I'm from the year 7085, not 4980. My breath caught. "I can prove it. I'll show them the portal if I have to," she continued. "Just convince someone, anyone, or if you can't." Her voice faltered, then hardened. "Then you destroy their base. The Navtac spacecraft. That's the one. They were the first to open fire on our cities. We had no warning, no defenses. They shattered everything, our governments, our resistance, our hope. That's how they took control. That's how we became second-class citizens in our own world. She looked me in the eye. Her voice trembled, but it carried all the weight of her future. You have to stop them. You're my last chance. She steps closer, her eyes blazing with resolve. You have to do this, she says softly. For all of us. Her voice doesn't tremble. It's strong. Unshaken. The portal will shut down at 4:00 a.m., she adds. After that, I have to return to my time. It won't open again. I stare at her, confused. Why? She sighs. I don't have enough power to keep it open. Or try again. The core was designed for a single temporal shift. Once it collapses, it'll burn out permanently. That's it. One jump. I can feel the air tighten between us. This time, my heart doesn't flutter at her nearness. It shatters. Because now, the truth has fully settled in. If I help her, if I stop what's coming, we would never meet. She'd go back to a future that would no longer exist. And I'd have to betray my kind. The weight of that choice presses down on me, duty or desire, species or soul. I stand frozen, torn completely between what I know is right and what I've always wanted. She pulls a slim chrono watch from her pocket, its interface blinking urgently. Her breath catches. Oh no, only 2 hours left. Without hesitation, she grabs my hand and pulls me through the side streets of the city. Navigating with practiced speed, we arrive at the Tenarco research mines still under phased construction in this era. A quiet, hidden scar in the rocky terrain. She points toward the main shaft. That's where it'll appear, the NAFTA craft tomorrow morning. That's when it all starts. She pulls open her bag and hands me a compact explosive module, neatly sealed and military grade. I know it won't be easy, she says, urgency thick in her voice. But please, you're my last hope. You have to destroy it. If we don't stop the Tenarco here and now, everything we know is gone. Suddenly, pulsing blue lights streak across the cliffs of Tenarco patrol cruisers. They've found us. Armored officers drop from their grav bikes, weapons drawn. Tanya Bell, one of them, shouts. You're under arrest for unauthorized time travel and for plotting against the Tenarco species. Before she can react, they grab her arms. Wait, no! Let go of me, she screams, thrashing. They clamp her in high-frequency cuffs that shimmer with phase-locking tech. She struggles but can't break free. I move before I can think. I step between them. And for the first time in front of anyone, I push the strands of hair from my forehead, revealing the etched Tenarco mark that brands me as one of their own. The officers stop cold. Tanya does too. She stares at me, confused at first, then betrayed. Her eyes widen as the truth hits her. I'm not who she thought I was. She's with me, I say quickly, fabricating the lie. I brought her here to show her our history so she'd understand her place. The officers blink, exchanging glances. We were told she was a threat, a human plotting sabotage. One of her kind informed us, said he dated her. I realized that the guy she went on one date with, she must have told him about her plan. I had to handle this tactfully. No, she's mine, I said. He's just jealous that I got her, and is trying to take her away from me. The officers released Tanya and stepped back. We came from the portal she created, officer continued. He led us to it. Now that it was clearly a lie, we must return and punish him, one of the officers said. I nodded. Yes, we must, but the portal will remain open only for I looked at the chrono watch I had taken from Tanya's pocket. 10 minutes, I said. My heart blasted in my chest. Then we must hurry back, the officer said. We all reached the portal. Tanya stayed behind them. Then, just as they crossed through, I pulled her back. I kissed her cheek close to her lips and shoved her into the portal. I heard her final cry, "No," and the officers yelling, "He's tricked us." But I knew what I had done. Now I'm trapped in a world where she doesn't exist while I fix the future for her. I can't get back. This timeline doesn't have the advanced tech I'd need to rebuild a trans-quantum gateway. Now I'm separated from the only person whose face I needed to see to survive the day. And she won't even remember me anymore.